You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 16.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the podcast this week. I am super excited. We have a very special episode with Marchelle. It was interesting because Marchelle and I were just talking last week, and she was sort of telling me about some of the mental shifts that have happened to her since she's lost all her weight. And as she was talking, I just stopped her and I said, you know what? We need to do a podcast on this because everybody needs to hear this. And so, first of all, Marchelle, tell everybody, how much weight have you lost total? And what was that? To me, it seems like it's occurred in several different phases.
Yeah, it has. Hi, everybody. Do you want me to tell you how much weight I've lost, like in pounds measured by gravity?
Oh,
'Cause
that's a good point.
yeah, I think that it's about 60 pounds. I don't know exactly how much fat loss I've had. We could probably add that up on my body comp. I could have probably done that before we did the
That's
podcast, but
okay.
I
But
think it's about 60 pounds.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I just want people to kind of understand. Like, this isn't just a little bit. This is a lot of weight loss that she's experienced. And it's been really remarkable for me just watching it happen because I see her every day practically. And it's been really gradual and yet noticeable. So, yeah. So from what I can tell, it sort of happened in 3 different stages, right?
Yeah, I'd say that. It's happened over about a 3-year period of time. So I wanted to back up a little bit and tell everybody I've been working with Dr. Angela for about 3.5 years now, which means I've been absorbing her knowledge and her wisdom for a while. It's been life changing, or actually, should I say, lifestyle changing
Uh,
experience for me. I wanted to somehow put into words my experience that'll hopefully help somebody else that's listening today.
yeah.
My earliest recollection of making conscious decision to change the weight I was eating was I had a little meltdown during the pandemic
Uh-huh.
and realized, that I was a major sugar addict
Yeah.
and that I needed some help. And I could say I'd been kind of half-assing Dr. Angela's program and, indeed I lost some fat, but there's no accountability or consistency at that point, and I felt desperate, and I wanted to feel better, and I wanted to be comfortable in my own skin,
Mhm.
and I wanted to feel healthy. So, I really, laid it out there for Dr. Angela, and some of you have listened to the previous podcast when I explained that. My sugar detox.
Mhm.
And she's helped me and my family to take the first steps, to first detoxing off the sugar and the flour and learning how to make better choices when it came to food. And that
Mhm.
took a while. I mean, it was simple, but definitely not easy. I've had my ups and downs. I've tested my body and tried to figure out like an easier way of doing things. You know this. I mean, one of the things I did was, I got on the keto ice cream. I wanted to find out if there was any kind of ice creams that I could eat. I mean, I put myself to the test and tried to get away with stuff and slipped and splurged. But the one
Mhm.
thing was I never gave up.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important for anybody to hear that this isn't all rainbows and roses. I mean, there's struggles.
Yeah.
And so, anyhow, when Dr. Angela asked me to co host her Tuesday evening support Zoom calls for her online workshop, it's called Journey Beyond Weight Loss. A lot of you guys probably already know about this. It's taken me several times to absorb and process a lot of the information, but I came to realize that there is so much more to the lifestyle change than just eating vegetables and protein and and learning how to make better food choices.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's an identity change, and I had to dig, much deeper and change
Yeah.
my thoughts and beliefs about myself in my relationship with food.
Yeah.
And it was only recently that I was able to, really connect the dots. And I
Oh,
learned, at a young age, I came to believe that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't skinny enough. I compared myself to other girls. I didn't, I couldn't compete, is what I thought. And
so this is when you were a teenager?
yeah, I mean, yeah, young teenager, sixth grade,
Yeah.
seventh grade, eighth, all through, when you start noticing yourself.
Mhm.
And so, I think we all wanna be accepted and adored and popular and attractive, when we're younger,
Yeah.
and what happened with me is every time I would look in the mirror as a young teen, I would pick myself apart, my hips are too big, my chest is too small, I don't like my nose,
Yeah.
and, after a while, I learned to hate myself, I hated my body, and I think when you hate yourself or you hate your body, you don't have a problem with abusing it, and that's where I
Oh.
landed, yeah, and so not only was I addicted to sugar, and I didn't even realize it then, I'd been addicted to sugar since I was really young kid, and we had talked about that in a previous podcast too,
Mhm.
but, because that the sugar kinda gave me that feel good, quick dopamine hit, but I didn't realize that's what it was doing, but when I was depressed or critical of myself, then I would automatically turn to, like milkshakes and Reese's peanut butter cups, and but then, that took a toll on me because then I started gaining weight. So I was desperate and I took, probably the wrong roads to get skinny.
Yeah.
And because I just wanted to look a certain way. I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to be adored by other people.
Mhm.
And so then, like I said, it led me to taking desperate measures and
Mhm.
to get to stay skinny.
Right.
So I hope this is making sense. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of put everything all into words because I'm still in a process of learning, through Journey Beyond Weight Loss.
Yeah.
And this is where I am now.
Mhm.
So I think through years of self-sabotage and negative thinking and being really critical of myself and not caring, how I was treating or feeding my body.
Yeah.
And then I also suffered from overindulgence of alcohol and other substances, as a teen and into my 20s.
Yeah.
And I just think my issues ran, like, really deep within my head and in my heart,
Mhm.
and I was unaware of how everything that I do and I am is all intertwined. So, I sorta had this aha moment when I was talking with you the other day in the office,
Mhm.
and it's like my thoughts become, my beliefs and which became my actions and is now my life. And
Right.
so I just had a really toxic relationship with myself. And I never realized that my relationship with food had everything to do with how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I needed to do more than just eat better or eat less or prep meals or yada, yada. I mean, I know that's important, but it's only the first steps. And
Exactly. Mm.
yeah, and I've been learning a lot on how to change my thoughts and treat myself with love and talk to myself like I'm my own best friend. As a matter of fact, what I had to do was I'm really good at being self-critical. And that's just kind of this chatter that's going on, in the back of my head all the time is, you
Mhm.
didn't do that right, or you could have done that better, or, you don't look good in those, but what, I'm sure that everybody understands this kind of self.
I think this is what our brain does to us all day.
Yeah.
That's how we
Yes.
survived.
So what I did was when we were learning, I can't remember what module it was, but it was learning how to change the way that we talk to ourselves. Um, what I did is I created like this little superwoman, like my little, superhero, like in my mind. And when I start like thinking with the negative thoughts, I just kind of like bring her out and she combats those negative thoughts. And then yeah,
Ooh.
and then what I do is, like, I just insert a positive thought. So I'm really, like, having to do some conscious work with my mind
Yes.
to change, the way that I think about myself. I mean, it's work,
It is.
it's easy to fall back into, the way the bad behaviors or the, self-sabotaging thinking or, sometimes you just feel like, "Ah, is this even worth it?" Or, "I don't know if I can do this." I tell myself that sometimes, but I just have to realize this is going to be a lifelong
Yeah.
journey for me. It's not, you don't get cured. It's, it's something that we work on, and
Yeah.
I'm just in a much better place today
Yeah.
than I have been for most of my life, probably.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
weight loss, I mean, yeah, that's great. And I feel a lot more self confident, but more I feel healthy and I feel more clear headed.
yeah.
And just, I feel like I have a lot more hope
Yeah.
than I used to.
Would you say that you respect your body more now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I can give you like one small example, and this is so dumb, but I had to go to the pharmacy today and right before we did the podcast,
Uh-huh.
and I always walk down their main aisle, which is like the candy aisle.
Uh-huh.
And I went from like I couldn't resist and I buy some of their candy because they have like the old-fashioned candy and it's really attractive to me.
Yeah.
So I would get caught up in that aisle and I went from, you know, giving in to those temptations. Then I went from buying the regular loaded candy and to buying, one bag of the diabetic stevia-based candy because I thought that was better for you.
Yeah.
So today, though, I walked down that aisle and there was just no option. I just told myself I was not going to do it before I went in there. And
Mhm.
I found the strength to walk back down it and pay for my stuff and get the heck out of there.
Get
So
out of
that was like a major win for me.
Oh, congratulations.
That's the first time that I have gone in there and not bought candy.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's the little things, right?
It is. I know. It's like they call this in the weight loss world, they call these the non-scale victories. These are the victories that
Yeah.
really matter. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So I think that this is one of the huge keys. And actually in Journey Beyond Weight Loss, we start in module 1 with a module's called Done with Dieting. And the idea is that we break ourselves free from that whole quick fix. I'm gonna, just go on a diet for a little while and break ourselves free from that craziness because that's what we did when we were younger. That's kind of like that's the
Right.
solution to our, we stand there in front of the mirror and we look at ourselves and we're like, ugh, I can't stand this. And I don't care who you are or what your body looks like. It happens to every woman where she stands in the mirror and she just looks at herself and says, that's got to go. That's got to go. And it doesn't matter. She could be really thin, but we're just always picking ourselves apart. And so that's the first piece of it is really ending this sort of body hatred. And I do have an exercise where I have people go through and write down 10 things that they actually love about their bodies.
Okay, the first time that we did this
Uh-huh.
and you asked us to do that exercise, I
Uh-huh.
couldn't come up with 10 things.
I know it's hard.
I just skipped past it because I was like, "Ugh, I'm not doing this." I can't, I just couldn't, I was stumped. I couldn't think of 10 things. And today I could think of 10 things. I could probably think of more than 10 things. I know that if anybody out there that's listening to this, I mean, it's really vulnerable for me to come on this podcast because, I see a lot of patients, face to face who listen to these podcasts and I'm kind of putting myself out here and telling
Yeah.
everybody, the raw, messy side of myself that,
Yeah.
you don't want anybody to know. And, this
Except that
isn't
wait.
easy for me. I'm not like a professional podcaster, I'm just, Dr. Angela's medical assistant who is part of also her patient, part of doing this part of
Who
the
is
program.
amazing, who is absolutely
Yeah,
amazing, so yeah.
thank you. So, I mean, I know if I can do it and I know this works because when I came in to the clinic, my thought was eat less, weigh less. And I
Mhm,
would starve myself, I would skip
mhm,
meals. That's where I
mhm.
was at, that's and like I said, I mean, I'd gone to deeper depths to try to stay skinny and look this certain part, while I was so messed up on the inside, if I just looked good on
Mm,
the outside, everything would be okay.
yeah.
And so if there was something that didn't work about this program, I would have probably exposed it. Because I used to go I mean, I'd even go in and watch you, like, I'd see what you were eating for lunch every day,
Yeah.
And I would say, "Oh, there's no way that she could eat, healthy every single day. Like, there's gotta be a cheat." I was just I was waiting for that and watching because that's, like, where my mind was.
Yeah.
And you were just so consistent, and I just, started absorbing everything in the clinic that I could, and it just became a part of me. And then finally, when I got serious about it, I mean, and really started doing, like, the inner work is when things really started to change because I think, yeah, you can white knuckle it for, a long time and,
Mhm.
um, and eat right, focus on, eating the protein and doing the vegetables. Like, I get that. And I did that for a long time, but there was just something inside of me that was still missing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was that was missing though until I started listening to Journey Beyond Weight Loss and then just kind of absorbing that material that you were talking to us about. And then things started to kind of click. And I really wasn't even going to I wasn't going to participate in Journey Beyond Weight Loss. I was just going in to be, the co-host of your support calls. And for some
Mhm.
reason, like it just started making so much sense that I couldn't help but to want to know more.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause I
Yeah.
started feeling better and I started working through some stuff, but like I said, I mean, there's some deep work to do and,
There is. Mhm.
um, but it's necessary.
Well, that's just it. The real work of weight loss is this deep inner work. And it has to do with shifting the way that you think about yourself and shifting the way that you manage your emotions and sort of catching yourself, like being aware and catching yourself when like you talked about this, Marshall, where like I just realized how much I was beating myself up all day,
Yeah,
So I mean, that's what makes weight loss hard is when you're in this diet mentality and you have to be just perfect on your diet and then, you have an inevitable slip, it's what I call it when you don't plan it. It's a slip and you have your inevitable slip, which is going to happen. And then you just start beating yourself up and after a while like how much can you beat yourself up and not just say screw it, I give up, you know? And so that's the real work of weight loss is really learning to be kind and gentle with yourself while you're in this process and this is what we teach. This is and we have lots of tools and techniques to really help you through that and it's effective and it works. But it does take time. I mean, this didn't happen overnight. This happened over we started Journey Beyond Weight Loss a couple of years ago, and you really started getting way more involved in Journey Beyond Weight Loss about a year ago, I would say.
right.
So it's been about a year for you of just hearing me say these things over and over. And each time you hear it, it sounds different. That's how it works for
Yeah,
me. So, yeah.
I know. So, like I said, though, when I was just, kicking back and kind of listening to the information, watching other people
Hmm.
work, through, the modules, I like I said, I just started picking up certain things that started to click with me. But
Yeah.
then when I started actually doing the work, and writing this stuff down and practicing,
Hmm.
the talking nicer to myself, just combating the negative self-talk because that's where the identity change comes into place is just simply the way we think about ourselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so but that's huge. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's huge. And then I don't know. I mean, when I started doing the actual work, I think things started to change. And I don't think I can ever really go back from that. I mean, I'm sure that I've gone through, my ups and downs, like I said. I mean, I haven't been perfect. It's not like I don't, splurge or slip, unintentionally. That does happen to me. And also, even with, the critical thinking, it's very easy for me to have a stressful day and feel like I failed or that, or being tired or
Hmm.
being hungry. There's a lot of different emotions and that's where the scale of emotions comes in. I mean, there's just so many light bulbs that go off when I'm talking about my story and just how your program is like implemented these changes in my life. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
could go on and on if we really wanted to break it down, but honestly, I just got excited about telling people where I was at. And,
Yeah.
it is vulnerable for me to share this information because it's personal. But
Hmm.
I think that if, my story can help anybody else that may be going through, what I'm going through, then it would be worth it for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is everybody goes through what you're going through. I mean, it's such a personal journey. It really is, and it's a journey of vulnerability. And I
It
really
is.
appreciate your sharing it with everyone so that they kind of know that. I think it helps also to know that you're not alone. Like these feelings are not something that is unique to you. That these feelings that we've been dealing with for all of these decades of dieting are just so very common, and they're difficult to deal with, but it's easier if you know you're not the only one. So I appreciate your letting everybody know and standing as an example of what's possible. That's the cool thing, is that you're standing as an example of what it's like to actually have this experience of decades of dieting and all of this craziness and all of the Jenny Craig meals and
Right, I've
all
done it all,
that
Angela. I
all
mean,
of
I
that.
have done it all.
And then
I have
and
wasted
then
thousands of dollars on
yeah,
dieting. I have just abused myself and starved myself and,
yeah,
tried to find the easier way. And I don't even know, like, really what was it all for? Like, when
yeah,
you think about it, I think, like, when we're young and impressionable and you become so self-critical because I don't know, I compared myself to, all the other girls, and I grew up in California.
mhm,
So, there's a really high standard of looking perfect. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's everywhere, but I think the closer to Hollywood that you are, I don't know. The bar is heightened, I guess. I don't know. So
Yeah,
so yeah, I mean, it was rough. It was
yeah,
rough inside my head when I was a kid.
yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I'm glad that you're, like, shifting all of this, and it takes time, and, you become so much more aware, and then you're catching yourself, and then it's just an amazing process, and I love the weight loss process because so much else in your life changes as you're going through this process because 'cause you're learning to think about yourself differently, think about your relationships differently, so much in your life changes, it's awesome.
Right.
So,
I
awesome.
just think of, like, my weight loss journey is like it's like a butterfly
Yeah.
because butterflies are proof that you can go through a great deal of darkness and
Mhm.
still become something beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you, Marshall. Thank you so much for sharing
Um,
this aspect of your journey. And for all of those of you who are listening, if you want to learn more, you can go to the website journeybeyondweightloss.com. And there's a free course there where you can download the free course and get started on your weight loss journey. And we open up Journey Beyond Weight Loss 3 times a year. It is now closed. So we'll open up again in September. But that's something to consider is joining us as well in Journey Beyond Weight Loss. If you're ready to start thinking about doing this deeper work, that's really, really important. So awesome. So thanks for listening, everybody. If you have any comments, make sure to leave them in the comments section of the site. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marshall. Bye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.